All right. So, let's get right to it then. What's your opinion of the new resource officers?
I am very proud that we have a resource officer in our school building now. I think that most of our students feel like it's a safety thing. The resource officers have been very professional. They're helpful to the students, and even though maybe a deterrent to some of their activities, I think the students like them being here. And so I feel very good about us having one, and I'm really excited that we're going to have a full time person starting in the fall.
All right. Real quick, state your name and what you do here at the school.
My name is Faith Conley, and I am the geometry teacher and the junior high counselor.
All right. So, as a counselor, you're one of the people that students would come to if they have a problem. Another person that they would come to is a resource officer. How would you work with the resource officers in that regard?
The resource officers that we've had when we've had a problem, if there's been a fight or a situation that needed to be investigated, we also have cameras in our schools, so we look up things. The resource officer would come in and view it as well, and so we would be able to work together and decide whether a situation needed police attention or just needed some kind of student interaction. So it's been nice to have somebody to collaborate with.
All right. Um, when it comes to resource officers, obviously they can be expensive for schools. Um, in your opinion, does a resource officer offer enough to warrant the costs?
I think in this day and time, we have to not think about the money and think about the safety of the students. So yes, I think it can be. I know that our resource officer's job is not to do the teacher's job for them, but to be a backup and an extra security measure. And our student resource officers, they're in the halls between classes when a lot of times bullying is going on and the teachers aren't able to see that. So just the fact their presence there may deter some of that. That's great. They go in our cafeterias at lunch when a lot of times there are altercations and things in that time. They're outside the building. The students don't really know where they're going to be, so that I think just that presence on campus is definitely worth whatever the cost. And I hope that we can continue to do this in future years. I think that eventually, I feel that most schools are going to have a resource officer in our day and time.
Obviously, when we're talking about resource officers and talking about the current political climate, President Trump has advocated for the possibility of arming teachers as a cheaper alternative. What's your opinion on something like that?
We're a rural community where a big part of our population hunts and has guns and has been around uh, guns in their homes or in their hunting. And I personally don't think that every teacher needs a gun, but if we have a member of the Army National Guard on our campus, um, I would feel very safe with him having a gun. If that he is trained and knows how to use that, I think that's a great thing. We have a veteran as well. I don't think that it would be necessarily a bad thing to have a few strategically placed teachers that have experience, have the training. Not just every teacher needs a gun. Um,
All right. One of the things about a resource officer is that they both offer a presence, but they're also kind of a resource for the teachers as well. How do you feel that the resource officer benefits the teachers?
Again, it's their presence mainly. Just I think that helps the teachers. If a student is late to class, a lot of times the resource officer will ask them, "Where have you been? What's going on?" They question them. That helps them to know somebody else is making them accountable for being where they're supposed to be at the time they're supposed to be there. If there were an altercation in class, the resource officer might be able to get to that classroom quicker than the principal or another administrator could get there as well, or just in whatever the situation is, it would be just more help in that situation, um, to hopefully where no one would get hurt. So the safety of the students is still always going to be number one.
All right. Um, when it comes to this idea of resource officers being there to help, obviously though there is a situation where, as of right now, I think there's going to be one resource officer.
Mhm.
Do you think that there should be more than one, since he has to cover both the elementary and the high school?
Well, the situation of our building is different than the elementary. The elementary, all of the doors are locked, and everyone who comes through the building has to come through the front door with the camera and be buzzed into the building. Our building, students are going in and out to change classes. They have to go out to go to the O gym for boys PE. They have to go out to go to the cafeteria. So our building is a little more open. Um, I'm sure that they could definitely use a resource officer at elementary, but um, our situation I do feel is different. Our students are leaving. Our seniors, so many of them leave at lunch, so our doors are open. Our magnetic doors are open during class changes. So we need another set of eyes, I think, on our campus, maybe more than they do at this time.
All right. Now, you mentioned about the fact that we live in a day and age where these resource officers are now a necessity. Some teachers find that to be pretty sad. Uh, what's your opinion of that?
I also think it's very sad. I think it's very sad that in the day and time that we live in, that students can't feel as safe at school as they did, say, 20 years ago, even 10 years ago. Um, it is sad to me to think that people think that's thinks that's the right thing to do. So many of them, I think, feel that they are going to not survive the incident to begin with, and they just take people with them. And that is truly sad to me that somebody would feel that that is something they needed to do. Um, I know so much of the time it's blamed on that they were bullied in school. I wonder, as a counselor, did the counselor help them, or did they even tell? So many times here, our students will report it, and we will try to deal with the bullying, but then they never come back to tell us it's being continued. They never come back and tell us that it didn't stop. So I think communication could help with that, but it is truly a sad time that we live in where people feel that that's necessary for them.
All right. One of the things that I think from a counselor's perspective, it is important to kind of understand that aspect of it, because bullying is kind of a hot button topic right now because
Definitely.
of some of the statements that were made during the what was it, fight or rally for our lives. I believe her name was Gonzalez, mentioned about the fact that the perpetrator of the Parkland shooting had been bullied in the past.
Right.
As a counselor, how do you feel would be one of the best ways to stop that? You mentioned communication. Is there any others?
We try to do a few things to promote bullying prevention. We have a group here on campus called the Teens Against Bullying TAB, and the SAD Club, the Students Against Destructive Decisions. We don't get to meet a lot, but we have some students who are really interested in helping students to feel better about themselves and to not allow some of this this bullying that's going on social media, going on outside the school a lot of times. Just help them to know that they have friends here, and to treat each other with respect and kindness. And that's just one thing. Just some kind of programs that just let people be aware that bullying is not right, and it's not to be tolerated. And if bullying is going on, to communicate with somebody, communicate with another student that might, tell for them, go to the teachers, come to the counselors, come to the principals. Let us know that bullying's going on so that we can help.
And now there's another resource available to students for trying to get the bullying out of the way,
Right.
which is the resource officer.
Absolutely.
So the resource officer obviously offering now just another avenue for students.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Is there anything else you would like to say before we end this interview?
No, I'm very glad that you've come up to talk to us today about this. We are excited about our resource officer, and think this is going to be a really good thing for our school.
All right. Anything you'd like to say to other schools who are kind of on the fence about hiring the resource officer?
We've been actually discussing this for 2 or 3 years, and it's finally come to pass for us because of recent events. It is not about the money. I know that schools have to spend their money well, and I really hope that if at all possible, maybe they could work out a situation similar to what we have this year, working closely with your city police and your county police, and just having someone come in and spend some time on your campus, even if they just come through, drive through your parking lots, and see what's going on out there when they're on the way from one point to another. Just stop into the school, maybe walk through the halls, make a circle, be a presence if at all possible. But yes, again, I know money's important, but the safety of the students is it has to be our main concern.